Shalom, shalom, everyone. This is Israel with another edition of the Yehudah Project, the Nation of Yehudah on the Sabbath day. We'd like to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We are continuing our information on the different captivities, and as we move into the next captivity, I want to be able to share some information with you. This is the Medo-Persian Empire. You know, we were in the book of Daniel chapter 2 where Daniel's talking about the statue that Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about. And he gave Nebuchadnezzar the interpretation of the dream. And the dream came in and he called for Daniel. He said, call him, go get him. And Daniel not only told him what he dreamed and gave him the interpretation that was similar to Joseph. So I wanted to show you the statue here. This is the Medo-Persian Empire. This is just a statue of Daniel chapter 2. If you can't see the screen, you can Google Daniel chapter 2 statue and pull up images, and you'll see you got a head of gold, which Daniel told Nebuchadnezzar, you are that head of gold. And then you have the chest and the arms that are silver. And we are now talking about the Medo-Persian Empire. And this is very important to understand the Medo-Persian Empire, because the people that came from the land of Media were actually Russian. And we did a whole study on that. It's in one of our videos. I'll get the name of it. But they are actually Russians. And the Persians are actually modern-day Iran today. So whenever you see Russia, Iran is right there because they've always been together. Always been together. So I wanted to be able to put that out there. And as you see the bottom, you see Darius, you see Daniel, and you see Cyrus. And then a lot of people know about the Medo-Persian Empire because of the story of Esther. We're going to roll into all of that. So we're going to tie all of that in so that you understand when she came in, where she came in, and what happened. Now, I have condensed these stories down because it could take weeks and weeks. If I really went into a lot of detail, it would take weeks and weeks because there were many different kings. And I'm going to show you that. You got Cyrus the Great, Cambyses the Second, Darius the First the Great, Xerxes the First, Darius the Second, Artaxerxes the Second, Darius the Third. All these are the kings, and each one of them has a history. We don't really want to get into the history of each one of the kings, but we know that the children of Israel were in captivity throughout all those kings. From the moment that they took over Babylon. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's keep going. Now, this is the Persian Empire. All this is the Persian Empire. This is Media, all the orange, all this was the Persian Empire. And not only did they ruled the world. This is a world-ruling empire. Everybody that's owned, this is one of their symbols. This is the symbol of their empire that they had. Everybody that is on this statue right here are world-ruling empires. That's why we yes, ma'am.
I can't see. Am I the only one who can't see?
The screen is on pause.
The screen is on
pause. I am so sorry, you guys. I'm glad somebody said something. Yeah. This is actually, like I said, the head of gold is Babylon. The arms, the silver arms in the chest is the Medo-Persian Empire. This is what it is. The Medes and the Persians. And it's very important because the things that we talked about last week about being down at the feet that's mixed with iron and mixed with clay is where we are today. However, the nations have not gone into a one world government as of yet. So these are the things that have to happen. You know, when you see these people on YouTube talking about we at the end time, it's almost over. They done found the red heifer. They about to build it. No. This has to be a one ruling, a world government. Has to be. So again, you have Darius, Daniel, and Cyrus. These are again the nations that the Most High has used and giving them power in the earth to rule the earth. So all that stuff about they don't deal with nobody but Israel, that's not true. We proved that last week. World ruling empires. This is their symbol again, to represent who they are. So we're going to get into the reading. It says in 597 BC, when Nebuchadnezzar invaded Jerusalem in 597 BC, he took many people into exile. Among them was Jehoiachin, king of Yehudah, members of the royal family, his nobles, the military, and many of the professional people of Yehudah. He took them into exile. Nebuchadnezzar also took the treasures of the temple and the vessels of gold that were in the house of the Most High. He took it up. They stripped it. It wasn't nothing. When they finished, Jerusalem was smoking. It was on fire. Jerusalem looked like Egypt did when the Israelites left. It was on fire. They stripped it. It wasn't nothing left. Every piece of gold, every piece of silver, everything was stripped. 2 Kings 24:13. Here's what it says. 2 Kings 24:13. And he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Most High and the treasures of the king's house, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold which Solomon, king of Israel, had made in the temple of the Most High, as the Most High had said. And he carried away all, verse 14, and he carried away all Jerusalem and all princes and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained save the poorest sort of the people of the land. Took it all. Stripped it. Anybody have any questions about that or a comment? They stripped it, took it all. Took away everybody that could possibly cause a revolt or to lead, try to lead the children of Israel in another direction. Took them all.
And so they just left the poorest of the poorest there.
Yep, they left the poorest of the poorest there. Yeah. They did. Took everybody. 10,000 captives. Again, here's your statue, head of gold. So you're going to see this quite a bit, because I want you to pay attention always to the feet at the bottom, because that's where we are now on the statue. The only issue is we haven't evolved into a one world power yet. Watch. Belshazzar's feet. This is going to be very interesting. It says the sacred vessels of the temple in Jerusalem played an important role in the religious life of the people of Yehudah. Some of the false prophets who were preaching in the days of Jeremiah predicted that Yah would act and the holy vessels would soon be returned to the temple, Jeremiah 27:13. One of the false prophets, whose name was Hananiah, predicted that the vessels would return in 2 years. Now, he prophesied lies. Watch what he said. That's why that's why I'm telling you, you got to watch Israel. You really got to watch Israel, because everybody jockeying for a position. Everybody want to be on top. Everybody want to be seen on TV. Everybody want to have the word. He telling lies to people. Now, how long was they going to be there, you guys? How long was their sentence in Babylon?
70 years.
70 years. So if they was going to be there 70 years, why would the Most High send the vessels back in 2 years? Watch. Jeremiah 27:13. He said, why will ye die, thou and thy people, by the sword, by the famine, by the pestilence, as the Most High has spoken against the nation that will not serve the king of Babylon? He said, what is the purpose of us all dying? Watch what he says in Jeremiah 28:1. And it came to pass the same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Yehudah, in the 4th year and in the 5th month, that Hananiah, the son of Azur, the prophet, which was of Gibeon, spake unto me in the house of the Most High, in the presence of the priest and of all the people, saying, thus speaketh the Most High of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, saying, I have broken the yoke of the king of Babylon. Now listen, within 2 years, I will bring again into this place all the vessels of the Most High's house that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, took away from this place and carried them to Babylon. Did that ever happen?
No.
No. He lied. He was just trying to counteract what Jeremiah was saying. He was trying to counteract what Jeremiah was saying. Because he wanted to seem important. He didn't want to accept what the Most High had told him was going to happen. Jeremiah was constantly warning them, telling them, this is what's going to be. This is what's going to happen. You guys need to surrender and turn yourself over to the Babylonian king and let it go and just be his servant, and everything will be all right. Hananiah had to come behind him and say, no, that ain't right. This is what the Most High said. Now, did the Most High speak that to him? I'm asking.
Somebody spoke it to him.
What you say, he heard something, or did he make it up? Watch. He says some of the plundered items that Nebuchadnezzar took to Babylon were placed in his palace. Some of the vessels were removed from the temple in Jerusalem, were placed in the temple of Nebuchadnezzar's God as an act of gratitude for his victory against the Elohim of Israel. The vessels of the temple were considered an important booty of war because they represented the submission of the Elohim of Israel to the God of Babylon. Now, you know that's not going to happen, right? You know y'all don't never take second place to nobody, but for argument's sake, that's what they felt. For argument's sake. Remember, head of gold, arms and chest of silver. Watch 2 Chronicles 36. Watch what he says. Then the people of the land took Jehoahaz, the son of Josiah, and made him king in his father's stead in Jerusalem. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. And the king of Egypt put him down at Jerusalem and condemned the land in 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And the king of Egypt made Eliakim, his brother, king over Yehudah and Jerusalem, and turned his name to Jehoiakim. And Necho took Jehoahaz, his brother, and carried him to Egypt. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Most High, his Elohim. Against him came up Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and bound him in fetters to carry him to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also carried of the vessels of the house of the Most High to Babylon and put them in his temple. This is what we just read. Here we go. Ezra chapter 5, verse 13. In the first year of Cyrus, though they was there, the king of Babylon, now this is when Persia takes over. The first king of Babylon, the same king, Cyrus, made a decree to build the house of the Most High. And the vessels also of gold and of silver of the Most High's house, which Nebuchadnezzar took out of the temple that was in Jerusalem and brought them to the temple of Babylon, those did Cyrus the king take out of the temple of Babylon, and they were delivered unto one whose name was Sheshbazzar, whom he had made governor, and said unto him, take these vessels, go, carry them into the temple that is in Jerusalem, and let the house of the Most High be built in this place. Now this in the book of Ezra is when they're on their way back to Jerusalem after the 70 years is over. So that's just to prove that the vessels were there. They took them into their possession. They were there in Babylon at the time. Now, why is this important? It's important because this is how the Babylonian Empire was ended. It all had to do with these vessels. Everything summed up have to do with these vessels of gold and of silver. Then came the same Sheshbazzar and laid the foundation of the house of Yah, which is in Jerusalem, and since that time, even until now, hath it been in building, and yet it is not finished. Here we go again. Now we're going to get into the story. Now this is what happened. Why is this important? Because this is going to play into a future prophecy. Because there's a prophecy out there where they're saying that Babylon will be built again. There's a prophecy out there that's saying in the end times that Babylon is going to be a nation again, and this is how it's going to be destroyed. But watch. Here's the story. On October 539 BC, Belshazzar, the son of Nabonidus, the last king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, held a great feast for the important people of Babylon. During the celebration, while he was under the influence of wine, Belshazzar ordered that the vessels taken from the temple of God of Israel be brought to the feast, so that he and his nobles, his wives, and his concubines might drink from them. Belshazzar's behavior was a deliberate act of sacrilege. Belshazzar showed his hostility against Yah by drinking from the holy vessels of Yah, while at the same time praising the false gods of Babylon. What's wrong with that picture? I mean, just from what you know about the Most High.
Is out of order.
Yes, it is. It's out of order. It's way out of order. But what do you know is coming?
Destruction.
Because we know y'all, don't we? But the thing about it is what I've noticed about him is he's not right up on your heels when you do something. He's not. He'll watch you. He'll let you do it. He knows the intent of your heart and why you're doing it. And then once you do it and you think you have gotten away with it, that's when he show up. He don't ride your heels. He's not the type of Elohim that nitpicks. You know, he doesn't micromanage. He's not that type of Elohim. He don't do all that. He tell you what to do and what not to do. And then you make the choice of which way you're going to go. And then depending on what you choose to do is the response that you're going to get from me. Now, this isn't so far-fetched because you know what? He put these people in place. These people are not only ruling over Israel, they're ruling over the whole world. He allowed these people to take and strip Jerusalem down to the point where it wasn't nothing left. Everything else was on fire. Everything else was wood. It was burning and smoking. That's how mad he was at our people for disobeying his commandment about what? Not letting the land rest every 7 years. Something simple. He said when he said 6 years, you can toil the ground, you can plant, reap, and harvest. But that 7th year, you have to let the land rest. And because they was disobedient, because they didn't listen, they ended up in this captivity. So he knew they was taking the stuff. He knew they was taking the vessels of gold, and they was just cups. The silver cups and the golden cups. He knew they were taking them into their land. He knew they was going to put them in the temple. He knew all that. Watch what happened. While Belshazzar was celebrating with his guests, a hand appeared and wrote a mysterious message on the wall. When the wise men of Babylon were unable to read and decipher the writing on the wall, Daniel was brought in before the king and interpreted the words for Belshazzar. So while they partying and they got their music blasting, doing what they doing, a hand appears out of nowhere. Not a hand with an arm to it, just a hand. And they said it was a man's hand. And the man's hand, I don't know what finger he used, I'm assuming it was the index finger, was writing on the wall. Can you imagine? In the midst of everybody, I'm sure everybody's high was blowed at that point. Whatever they was drinking, they sobered up real quick. He wrote on the wall right in front of them. Can you imagine a hand coming out of nowhere? That's where they get the old saying that the hand writing on the wall. That's where it comes from, right out of here. Ain't no arm attached to the hand. It's just a hand that you can visibly see. And I heard one Hebrew pastor say, he said, y'all got a flair for the dramatics. He probably danced the hand all the way across the room. Till he got to the wall where everybody could see it and wrote the message out on the wall. Why would he do that? You know why? Because it was time for the end of the empire. The message from Yah that Daniel conveyed to Belshazzar was the destruction of his kingdom because of his blasphemous use of the temple vessels. He went and got the gold cups. He went and got the cups that came out of the temple. And they was pouring wine in them and giving a toast to their God. He treated the Most High like he was a punk. Like he was a sub-level Elohim. And when stuff like that happens, what we say? Your eyebrow raises and your mind tell you exit stage left because there's going to be some drama. Hand came out of nowhere and started writing in front of the whole party. Anybody have any questions? This is how Babylon ended. He went and got Nebuchadnezzar. He made Nebuchadnezzar the ruler of the world. Not only did he, remember we read in the scriptures where when his army went to war, what did he do? He paid them with the land of Egypt. He said, I'm going to pay you for your services that you've done. He gave him the land of Egypt and set him up. Set him up. But one thing that the nations don't know about the Elohim that we serve, not only will he pay you, but guess what he do also? He going to pay you back. He going to pay you, but he going to pay you back too. Now take that into consideration because why the empire is riding high and you number one on the world scene and everybody look up to you, you get a little ego boost. You really start thinking you running something. And that's when he started paying attention. He said, Oh, you ain't got my stuff. Oh, you drinking out of the cups that belong in my temple. Oh, and now you toasting your God in my cups? Oh, let me show you. And you know what? He could have took his breath. He could have killed him right there on the spot, but y'all don't operate like that. He gonna show you up in front of everybody. That's why we tell everybody, please stay humble.
Wait until after he committed to the act.
Absolutely. probably making all the jokes he could make. Everybody done drank, and all of a sudden somebody probably screamed, "Ah!" And here come a hand that ain't got no arm attached to it, writing words on the wall. I don't know who I'm talking to today, but you know what? When it comes to that ego and that pride stuff, you really have to chill out because he really don't play that. Listen, I'm, you know. Watch.
Yeah, you right.
That's the one thing he don't play. Is pride and arrogance. And folks get puffed up. They really do. They really think they running something. You know, you're just looking at them like, if I was you, I would chill that out all the way out. Don't even. Everything that come out of your mouth should be this because of the Most High Elohim, the Elohim of Israel, that I give praise and honor to.
Hallelujah.
Because if you really think it's you, watch what happened. Daniel announced to the king that his kingdom would be divided and be given to the Medes and the Persians. That's the statue. That very night, Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, was killed, and Darius the Medes received the kingdom at the age of 62. What we used to say, them people went to bed under one government and did what?
Woke up under another one.
They woke up under another one. It wasn't even no fight. It wasn't no war. They didn't shed no blood. They didn't do nothing. Those people went to bed under one government and woke up under another one. All because it was time to move down the statue. It was time to move down to the arms and the breast. It was time. Let's see what it says. We're going to go through this real quick. Daniel chapter 5. So you guys follow us in the book. We're going to take you to the scriptures. Daniel chapter 5. Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords. It was 1,000 people. That's a big party. And drank wine before the 1,000. I don't think I've ever been in a party where there was 1,000 people. Not a personal party anyway. Now, the club, yeah, maybe. I don't even know if I've been in a place that could hold 1,000 people. But 1,000 people, that's a lot of folks. That is. Little did he know that was going to be the last time he would see those people ever again in life. Crucial. Watch. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father, Nebuchadnezzar, had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines might drink there. Then they brought the golden vessel that was taken out of the temple of the house of Yah, which was at Jerusalem, which we read in the scriptures earlier. And the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine, and they praised the gods of gold and of silver and of brass and of iron, of wood and of stone. What was wrong with that picture, y'all? Woo! They know they about to get it. Watch. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled, so that the joints of his loins was loosed, and his knees smote one against another. Somebody said he pooped on himself. Watch. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers and the Chaldeans and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereon shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler of the kingdom. Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance changed in him, and his lords were astonished. Now the queen, there she go, by reason of the words of the king and his lords came into the banquet house, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. Watch. There is a man, listen, in thy kingdom, in whom is the spirit of the holy God. And in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like of the wisdom of the gods, was found in him. Somebody remember, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say, thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and he said he put him over all of them. Watch. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. This is so profound, because every time a pagan king gets in the wrong position with the Elohim of Israel, they got to go get Israel to understand what's going on. Why? Because he's our Elohim. Nobody else could read it. Nobody else could understand it. Nobody else will be able to interpret it but Daniel. Just like today. Nobody's going to understand our Elohim but us, and we're the ones that's going to have to teach the world. They come close. It almost sounds right, but it's going to take Israel to do it this time. Watch what happens. Watch what he does. Then was Daniel brought in before the king. And the king spake unto and said unto Daniel, Art thou that Daniel, which art of the children of the captivity of Yehudah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? You know who he is. I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of the gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee, that thou canst make interpretation and dissolve doubt. Now if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and be the third ruler in the kingdom. Sound familiar?
Oh, yeah.
Just like Joseph.
Yeah.
So whenever you're in captivity, and the Most High uses you to do a thing to the level of whatever it is, they're going to have to bless you. And usually it's with some sort of promotion. That's why you can't depend on church. That's why you can't depend on the pastors. That's why you can't depend on the pagan nations and all of the other people that are out here trying to understand the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You're going to have to come to us. You're going to have to come to the Hebrew Israelites. Watch what happens. Then Daniel answered and said before the king. Now watch what he said. He said, let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. He said, give that to somebody else. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O thou king. And now he's getting ready to give him, he's getting ready to remind him. The Most High Elohim gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and language trembled and feared before him, whom he slew, and of whom he kept alive, and whom he set up, and whom he put down. Watch. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. That's why I tell everybody, you better stop. I don't know who this is for, but I'm telling you, whoever it is that's got pride in their heart, you better quit it. I don't care what it is, job, clothes, status, social status, money, whatever it is, you're going to have to break all that down, because if not, it'll break you down. Why do I know that? Because this wasn't an Israelite that he did this to. This was a pagan king. But it was because the Most High gave him what he had, that he had the status that he had. And he got puffed up. He said, this is my thing. This is what I did this. Look at my beautiful kingdom that I made. Didn't nobody do this but me. I used to know somebody who told me once, I don't worry about it. I do what I can do because I'm going to make it happen. I'm the reason why it's going to take me. I said, well, what about the Most High? This is about me. I'm the one that's got it. The reason why don't nobody have nothing is because they don't want nothing, because you got to get out there and get yours. Believe me, let me let you in on a little secret. When he shut the door, can't no man open it.
True.
You know what I'm saying? When he give you that lesson, that pride lesson, ain't nobody going to be able to take you out of his hands. I don't care how educated you are. I don't care what kind of experience you done had. I don't care who you know. When the Most High shut the door, it's shut.
It's only one true Savior.
Yes, indeed. He don't play about the pride stuff. And if you an Israelite too, and you know it wasn't nothing but him, it was his grace and mercy. Let me read it. He said, but when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. Watch. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses, and they fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet. You know you you in a bad situation. He took his mind. Nebuchadnezzar thought he was an animal. He turned him into an animal. He was out in the field with the beasts eating grass. The king, now, the one that had majesty, glory, and power. He was outside he was in the grass. Y'all better stop. Turned him into an animal. He didn't have no clothes on. He was crawling around like the animals would. With the dew of heaven. Wait a minute. He said, till he knew that the Most High ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. How many people got to know? How many people know? Really know that today? Because we're dealing with a lot of narcissists now. We got a whole lot of folks, the men and women.
He do all the changes, not men.
Absolutely. Y'all getting real quiet today, boy. Y'all real quiet today. Don't ever think it's you, because it's not. It's only because of him that we have what we have. Because it's in him that we live, we move, and we have our being. There's no other way that he could do it. But you know what? He don't take you out. He just show you the lesson. Because you're going to learn that lesson. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, do you think that Kanye West can repent? I said, I hope so. I said, I hope he can. In other words, can he come into the fold? I hope he can. But the question is, it will be the same question that Yahushua gave to the rich ruler. Remember, he came up to him and asked him, what must I do to be saved? He said, go. What did he tell him to do? Anybody know?
Sell everything he had. Sell everything he had.
All his riches.
Yeah, he said, sell everything you have and go to give it to the poor and come back and see me. What the man tell him?
He was not happy with that.
He said, oh, I ain't going to be able to do that. He didn't even come back no more. Because he knew where his heart was. And I have a lot of people that say, see, that's why we supposed to be poor. That ain't what that means. That's not what that means. That's not what he meant. He knew where his heart was. Because guess what? See, you seen what Daniel told Belshazzar. He said, keep your stuff. Give it to somebody else, but I'll tell you what it say. That's who he was. That's what made him what he was his stuff. Watch. But you're going to know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men. He running this. This is his show. This is his baby. This is his stuff. This is why we are yet in captivity in Babylon. It ain't over yet. Babylon is still ruling for a few minutes. He said, and thou his son, O Belshazzar, that has not humbled thy heart, though thou knew all of this. He said, you knew what happened to your grandfather. You knew what the Most High did to him. And you still prideful? Why, you don't think it's going to happen to you? He said, thou knewest all this. He said, but hast lifted up thyself against the Most High of heaven, and have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them. And thou hast praised the gods of silver, and of gold, and of brass, and of iron, and of wood, and of stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know. And the Elohim in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Do y'all know some people like that? I do. I don't believe in God. Somebody at our family reunion said that this year. I don't believe in God. We just looked at him like, really? But right now, until you get sick enough and see. We'll see. Can you pray for me? No, you don't believe in God. He said, who hand thy breath is in. Your breath is in his hand, and people are just, let me move on. I guess I'm stepping on some toes today because ain't nobody saying nothing.
He controls everything. Everything. Your bread, the food we eat, he provides everything, man.
Absolutely. But see, we want to believe that we running something, that it's all about me. He don't say you can't have it. All the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to him. All of it is his. But it's the way you act when you get it. It's how you look at the next guy when you have it, and they don't. He just disrespected the Most High. Watch. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. Watch what he said. He said, this is the writing that was written. Many, tikal upharsin. Watch what he means. This is the interpretation of the thing. Meaning, Yah has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. don't never want him to say that about God. Really don't. Maybe I'm the only one that's scared. I don't never want him to be mad at me. I just don't want that. I don't never want him to feel like I take him for granted. I just don't want that. Just like when they went to pray for Saul, what did he tell them? Don't even pray for him no more. I'm done with that. That's a terrible place to be. Israel?
To fall in the hand of the Almighty.
Ooh, you're the only one talking. I'm serious. It's a terrible place to be, to fall into the hand of the Almighty Elohim. And some of these people out here just is arrogant, and they just is nasty, and they preaching in the street corners, and they all kind of vile stuff is coming out their mouth. Man, listen. He said, Yah has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Watch. Tikil, thou art weighed in the balance and art found wanting. Peres, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. He said, that's it. It's over. You only had a few minutes to live, y'all. From the time Daniel walked into that room and gave him that interpretation, that man only had a few minutes to live. Watch. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. He promoting this man while he on his way out and don't even realize it. Watch what happens. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. The same night. And Darius the Median took the kingdom about 62 years old. He was 62 years old, just like we just said earlier. Took it. So from the time they went and got Daniel, for however long it took for him to walk up there to where they was, and for him to walk in the room, read the writing, and have the conversation with the king, that's as much time as he had to live on this earth. Anybody have any questions or comments? I mean, this is how serious Yah is about when he gives a command to his obedience. And when it's time for the changing of the guards, because it was time for it to change. So again, Babylon it wasn't a war to take it over. No one ever took it over. Guess what? He was killed that night, and they just took it. They didn't have to battle for it. They just took it. Them people went to bed under one government and woke up under another one. That's how we move from the Babylonian captivity into the captivity of the Medes and the Persians. Any questions or comments at all?
Just as
it wasn't a war.
Good now.
Can't hear you, Brother Yerushalayim.
I said, just like he did that then, you could see sort of the same thing going on now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's like, you know what it's like, Sister Afion said the other day. She said, and I had to think about it. She said, every nation that we have ever been in captive, when we got ready to leave, the nation no longer has a power to it at all. And when you look back, you look at Egypt, destitute.
Yeah.
You look at Babylon, destitute.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And
Iran is struggling for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Greece, destitute. Rome got a little bitty corner, but they not what they used to be. Not saying they're not powerful, but they don't have the kingdom that they had. It's morphed into the Holy Roman Empire. Look at America.
Yeah, we on our way out, and it's drying up like a.
They getting scared. They like, oh my gosh, what is going on? You know? That's the truth. That's some real serious stuff.
All the destruction that taking place, you know, the time is near.
Yes. Yes. It's trouble everywhere you look. Trouble everywhere you look. But this is how we moved out of the Babylonian captivity into the Medo-Persian captivity. From this party right here. The party was the one that shut it down. When he went and got them cups, and they started partying with them cups from the temple, that was it. It was over with. He only had a few hours to live and didn't even know it. There's nothing special about us other than that he loves us, he chose us, we're his servants, and we're his children. But don't ever think it's you, because it don't have nothing to do with you. This is all about him. I remember telling a great man one time, like, look, I ain't trying to go out in front. If you want to go out in front, go out there. You go out there and be out there. I'm not fighting nobody for no position, for being seen on TV, for nothing. That's why I don't show nobody's picture on here. I could get on here with my hair wrapped up and makeup on it. I don't show pictures because it's not about me. It's about the word. My son said, you got a lot of followers on YouTube. You could pay, you could charge. Well, charge for what? The word? No. No. This is about us doing what he has called us to do, and that is to gather ourselves. That's what we was called to do. We don't take no tithes. We don't take no offerings. We don't take no money from nobody. Now, if the Most High put it on your heart to do something, that's something else. But we do not do that because this is the way he told us to gather ourselves. We didn't. And I'm not knocking the ones that did. Some of them set up 501c3 churches. We got Israelites. Whatever it is they do, whatever you called to do, do it. We just don't do that over here. And we're not going to never lead you astray, not willingly. Now, we'll go before the Most High and pray and get the answer and try to figure out. No, absolutely not. No, this is too serious now. It's too much at stake. It's too much at stake. But I just wanted to share with you how this ended. Because we talked about how we got in there, but now we never talked about how it ended. And this is exactly how it ended. It all ended from a party. Ain't that something? From cups and from the cups of the temple being brought into a celebration feast of 1,000 people. And he took him out that same night. And he used that particular incident to write on the wall that you've been removed. That's the Elohim that we serve. That's the one that we know. From a party. As great as that kingdom was, they said it was as much gold, dust as gold as it was dust. Babylon had more gold in it was than they had dust. It was a great empire, and the Most High took it out over a party. Something as simple as a celebration. And on that note, we're going to end our recording. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. We're moving into who the Medes and the Persians were, how we got into their empire, where Queen Esther comes in at, because she comes in under this story, and why it was necessary for her to do what she did, because this is all how we ended up in captivity. Why is that important, Yaina? Because we're at the bottom of the statue. We're at the bottom of the statue. where the toes and the foot is mixed with iron and clay. And there's no more captivities after this. There's no more. So on that note, we're going to end the recording, but not the call. Don't forget our radio show tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The number is 718-664-9551. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have one question. How many years they was in Babylon before Persians took over?
How many years was they in Babylon before they was in there? They was in there 70 years when I think when he came through for Belshazzar. They had completed the 70 years, but they didn't leave Babylon, that area until Cyrus came in.
Okay. So actually it was after 70 years and Persians took over?
Yes, they had to do 70
okay.
In Babylon. They had to do those 70 years. Yes. And then you want to know how many years it was when they switched. I believe it was 70 years.
So you can imagine the people that lived in that town and the people that didn't go to the party wondering what in the world went on at that party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because now everything's changed. And you can imagine, being in that time, how salty they are when, the descendants of looking at us. It's gone on a long time.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Now, look on the outside. You're talking about a black tie event that's strictly for the king's palace. So everybody, the poor people, the people in captivity watching them, because they all dressing up, they all getting ready to go, and it's a beautiful event. They've probably been advertising it and talking about it, and, because certain places we not privy to, we not invited to, but it's all over the news, all over whatever they had in terms of media, it was all over there. Everybody knew it was going to happen. So they sitting around trying to get a glimpse of the people that's coming in. You had nobles from all over the region, from different countries was there. Woo! And then he got beside himself. Not that he didn't have nothing to drink out of already, but he got beside himself and decided he was going to do something else and asked them to go get that stuff. He asked them to go get it. And to pick it up and bring it into the temple. Bring it into the party. And was probably bragging about it. What are those? Oh, those are the cups that they got from that little, what they call it, that little desert deity down in Judah. And we brought him up here so we enlist. They called him on TV, they called him a pathetic desert deity. I said, yeah, okay.
And as far as we know, Daniel never came back. He never went back to Jerusalem, did he?
No, he never did. Because he was always there. He was always there between the kings. His position was solid. And he went through a lot being in that position because people were jealous of the fact that he was positioned like that and he wasn't a native person. He was a bondsman. And they're like, how you going to put this slave over us?
Exactly.
Sounds familiar today. This is what it do. And it's like, man, real serious stuff.
Most I did it, not them really,
Yeah. A party, over a party. He ended the whole thing over a party.
But you can, from that standpoint, thinking about how the people were going, how in the world, we got to get back our status. We want to be in rulers, and how they come together to try to make themselves superior to the Most High again.
Yeah, because nobody want to accept this oath. They can't believe it.
Yeah, nobody want to accept it.
No.
You can imagine they sure didn't at that time. all of a sudden we're in a whole nother government. I mean, they salty.
Yeah, can you imagine waking up and all of a sudden all the flags is gone? Ain't no more American flag on the poles no more. All of a sudden you got another flag for another country popping up. Ain't no more. And they announced the president of the United States has been killed. That all of cabinet is over. Congress has been dissolved. People in shock. They like, wait a minute, hold on. What do you mean? They dead? What happened to them?
We got to serve who?
Right. We got to learn their language too? What is that? Prices change. Signs on the highway changes. All the stuff that you used to, that you have been dealing with for years, has all of a sudden come to a cease. It's over. The norm, you got a whole new normal you got to deal with. And not only them, but us. We probably sitting around like another captivity. This supposed to be over with. Now, wait a minute now. That what Jeremiah said, 70 years. What's going on? But from what I'm reading, there's always some space in between the designated end and when you actually leave. Because it took a minute for Cyrus to come on the scene, because once Cyrus came on the scene, he released them and told them they could go back. He released them and told them they could go back.
Deja vu.
He came on the scene, he made life a little bit better for them, and they had things a little better for them, but they weren't gone. So the Babylonian people was also not on top no more, so they had to come up under subjection. Sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
And now we at the 400 years. Everybody telling me, okay, when are we leaving? What's the deal? Guess what? The curse is over with him. After 70 years, same like with them. Their curse was over, but they couldn't leave until he set everything in motion. Our curse been over since 2019, August of 2019. It's been over. But we can't leave until there's a designated time for it all. And you know what that does? Because we haven't left exactly after that wasn't real in the first place. We told y'all that 400 years was already there. Okay, well, we'll wait and we're going to see. And my response to them is, when the boats do show up, we better not see you on the shore.
You're not going to have a seat on the boat. They're going to beat you there.
They kids going to be on there. You ain't got to sit on nobody's lap, honey. You take that seat right there. That'd be the main one on there. So, this is the reality of the captivities, and this is why we have to study the captivities, because there is some similarities in them all. And again, we get to know how Yah operates by reading from them. And this is why it's important to understand this word. Now, everybody don't want to know. They feel like if it ain't ooh and ah message and that's deep. No, you need to know the simple things first. Because a lot of people get a little bit and run off with it, and you don't know the story. And then again, like we watched earlier today, you spewing stuff that ain't real. You saying things to people that's just not real. And you're going to cause people to commit error because you're pulling scriptures out of stuff that's not relevant to what you're talking about. So the next time somebody come to you and tell you a woman ain't supposed to talk, or a woman ain't supposed to teach, or a woman's supposed to be silent, that's not for the Israelite woman. Now, Paul might have set that up for the Gentiles that they were setting up their church, but that's not for us, because we all have to work together to get this thing done. Got to. It's the only way it's going to work. Even in that story, the queen stepped up, didn't she? She said, now you know, I don't know whether you remember that or not, but you remember there is a man in the kingdom now that can interpret this stuff. And you know he was around when your father's father was around. And you might want to call him now, because these guys don't know what they talking about. They scared just like you are. She whispered that in his ears, 1,000 people in the room. And then you call him, and Daniel came up. Like, I know Daniel was like, what is it now? Oh, my God. They banging on his door. The king needs you. Get dressed. We need you at the party. You know, he probably was like, oh, my goodness, what is it? And then he walked into a room, and everybody's startled. They just sitting there, all eyes on him, like he the man. You know when the plumbing is busted, here come the plumber. Everybody looking for him, like, oh, my goodness. And not only that, he had to deliver bad news. Can you imagine?
Nope.
Yeah, you got to be the one to tell him in front of all his friends? Huh? That it's over? That's some serious stuff.
Especially at the fact when he dropped dead. Oh, my gosh.
Heck yeah, no question. Hold on, I'm going to try to find it right here. Hold on, I'm going to open up the screen for you. Just 1 second. Hold on. Okay. And I'm going to show you this. Let me open up my screen so I can share it. And you can see it from a movie standpoint. I want you to see this. Watch this.
Enough! We still have our 3 fort walls with their battlements. And within our granaries we have grain enough to endure a siege of 10 years. Our watchmen have seen the Persians digging, my lord. They seem quite concerned about this, my king. Yes, they will look to build a siege ramp against the city. But first, they must build a causeway across the moat. That alone will take months. In the meantime, let us feast and toast Marduk, the patron god of Babylon. Marduk! These cups have a taste, and I will not have it so. Bring me the golden vessels from the temple of Jerusalem.
But my king, is it wise to use the vessels?
My king, these cups are considered sacred. Are they not? Perhaps in Jerusalem! By that pathetic desert deity of Judah. But here they are spoiled for our gods. And they would have me use them as I see fit. Bring them! Yes. You see these vessels? In Jerusalem, they were used for the worship of their god. Now, instead of the blood of bulls and rams, let them flow with foaming wine. For I am not a devourer of blood. I am a devourer of drink. And choice fare. To Marduk, to our idols of gold and silver, bronze and iron, wood and stone. Partake of our pleasures and protect our city.
Ain't that what the scripture said? They offered it up to all the gods. Watch what happened. Watch.
Tells me what it means, shall be clothed in purple, and have a gold chain placed around his neck, and be made third highest ruler in the kingdom.
Here she comes.
All the king's wise men came in, but they could not interpret the inscription or tell the king what it meant. So Belshazzar became even more terrified.
The Judean once told Nebuchadnezzar, your forefather, of his dreams. He succeeded when everyone else had failed. This man, Daniel, whom the king called Belteshazzar, he could tell you what this writing means.
Does he still live?
He does.
Bring him to me quickly, but do not harm him. We shall soon learn if this Hebrew can do as you say.
Nothing, it would seem. It's too sacred not to be profaned under the influence of wine.
Nothing. How can I be of service, Highness?
Are you Daniel? One of the exiles my father brought back from Judah?
I am he.
I am told you are able to give interpretations and solve difficult problems. If you can read the writing on that wall, you will be clothed in purple, have a chain of gold placed around your neck, and be made third highest ruler in the kingdom.
Long ago, I told your forefather, Nebuchadnezzar, that I would speak to him only the truth, and that if he rather not hear it, he should ask me nothing. Perhaps it would be better if you asked me nothing.
No. It is unseemly for a king to be baffled by a message in his own hall. No human hand has scribed it. No other tongue can interpret it. Tell me what it means. Be it for good or ill.
Okay. The Most High God gave your father Nebuchadnezzar greatness and glory. But when his heart became arrogant, he was deposed from his throne and stripped of his glory, until he acknowledged that the Most High is sovereign over the kingdoms of men. Even though you knew all this, you should have appealed to him. Instead, you set yourself up against the Lord of heaven. You had the goblets of his temple brought to you and praised the gods of bronze and iron, wood and stone instead of him. These vessels were made for the service of the Most High, and you have used them to pour wine for your harlots. Would you humble the Almighty by desecrating his possessions? Would you bind him like a captive and beat him like a slave? Would you pluck out his eyes and have him beg for scraps of food beneath your table? This you would do if you could. and the Almighty knows it. This is his answer to you. The Lord God will strike you down like an enemy, for he has bidden his angel to unsheath his sword. These, then, are the words he has written. Nay, God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed in the scales and found wanting. Ah, sin. Your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. This very night, your life will be demanded of you. And before the sun rises, your flesh will grow cold. Thus saith the Lord, your line is ended, your rule is over, your kingship is no more. Is there nothing to be done? No.
That's crucial. Can you imagine? That's theater ride. Can you imagine? No, honey, now they put it in drama form, but that's basically what it was. He said it's over. He said before the night grow cold, before the sun set, your flesh will grow cold. That's some serious stuff, right, man? Listen, no. And folks be standing around with their chest stuck out. You put your chest like this. For real. It's funny. It's like, that's what he said, it's over. Don't call that, it's over with. That's what we just read. They just showed it to you in theater form, but that's exactly what we just read. Word for word. Any questions? All over a party. It ended over a party. He brought the vessels to a party. That's how serious Yah is not to be played with. I'm telling you, he is not. And again, we getting ready to roll up into we getting ready to go into something serious here. This is really serious. You know, even when we do get that money and we bless us however he do it on the way out the door, don't stick your chest out. Stop sticking your chest out. Stop being prideful. We only have what we have because of him. We're only where we are because of him. And some people are moving up and some people is at very high positions. We got all kind of people on this call. But it's all because of him. Because in him we live, we move, and we have our being. Because I don't want to have that conversation with a prophet. I don't never want nobody to come up and tell me that.
He should have fell on his face and repented and cried out. I would have been on the floor crying, and he was just send me in shock. His pride wouldn't let him.
But it wasn't nothing he could do. Remember, he asked Daniel, "Is there anything I can do?" He said, "No, it's over. The judgment has already been pronounced. It's a wrap." No, so we gotta, that's why I tell them, repent. Have mercy on us. Repent. We gotta, he just don't play that. He like, it's not to be played with. And this whole movie on YouTube, I pulled this up on YouTube, but just that little part right there, when it was verbatim. Exactly what we read. The queen came up and told him, there's a Judean. He was here when Nebuchadnezzar was there and said the same, and he came and said the same thing. Now, if you can get past Daniel being a white man, I mean, the story, the words is the same. Both, some people get promoted and got stuff and they chest stuck out. It's like, you better go sit down. Because when he shut the door, it's shut. Can't nobody open it. All kind of stuff stop happening. Stuff stop happening, and it have to get bad before you really notice that it's done stop happening. Like, boy. Woo! Yes, indeed. My ex-husband used to say that all the time. Look at all these po niggas. Ain't nothing but a bunch of... Man, his mouth got us in more trouble. I was like, you better stop talking like that. It went real wrong, real bad. It went real bad because of his mouth. And I used to tell him all the time, Christian and in church, he used to talk like that all the time. Ain't nothing but a bunch of po niggas. And I'm saying, you better quit talking like that. Now, stop talking like that. It went real wrong. So you got to watch what you say. You really do. You have to watch what come out of your mouth, because it's only because of him that we are where we are, and especially knowing we in captivity too. It's arrogant. Some people just arrogant, and they don't even understand. And they really think it's because of them that they where they are, and they arrogant toward everybody else, and everybody else is peasants. He'll strip you of everything you got. You'll be trying to figure out what happened and why it happened and how it happened. It'll just be a series of events. That ain't the way to live. Anybody have any questions before we dismiss for the end of the day? The rest of I think we got an hour, maybe 45 minutes before the sun go down. Anybody have anything you want to say or discuss or comments, questions, anything?
What kind of people are we?
I don't know, but I know we gotta get it together. You know, we gotta get ready for this thing, because this is getting ready to be a switch. And some gonna be for the good, and some people ain't gonna be able to handle it.
And the biggest difference between now and Babylon, the Babylonians knew what it was not to be on top. The people of this nation have always known what it is to be on top. They don't know anything else.
No, they don't. And that's what's hard. That's the hard part. And that's where the battle gonna come in, because nobody wanted to lose position. They fought all the way to the end, because they couldn't believe. It's like when you die suddenly. People say people are angry, you know, when they're in that last moments of their life, like it's over. You know, I don't get no second chance. I don't get no, you know, and it's like sometimes, you know, it is what it is. It ain't nothing you can do about it. We have no control over certain things. And that's where man comes in at, because they want control. They want to be able to control the situation. And once it's over, it's over. Like, it's just like waking up and all of a sudden Russia is in control. They done swooped in and took control. And you like, what is this? You know? Wake up and sirens is going, and all of a sudden UN trucks is everywhere. Ushering people around.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was for them. Everything changed. They went to bed under one government and woke up under another one.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the things. Any other questions or comments before we dismiss? All right, well, if there's nothing else, we'll see you tomorrow on the radio show. Shalom, shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.